listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
I wanna see the light.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting us visit with you for a little while today. My name is Jerry Mitchell, your host for Give God 90. Sitting in her supervisor's chair is Myra.
Hello, everyone.
Today in the United States is Memorial Day. That is a day when we basically remember and honor all of the people who sacrificed their lives through the service of our country. And even though we're going through some things in this country, we have some issues to work out, it still remains the nation that practically everyone who wants to better themselves wants to come to. Not for a handout. Well, some do, but not everybody comes for a handout. Most people come because they realize that this nation is the one nation that they can come to and work hard and better themselves. And, that is really, it says a lot when you think about the people who gave their lives to provide that opportunity for all of the people in the world who want to make their lives better. And I hope that the folks and the families of those fallen heroes take some comfort in that today, because their sacrifice is well honored. If you're new to Give God 90, we appreciate you. If you've been here for a while, thank you. It is, without you, we wouldn't have a need to do this. It's just that simple. So if you like what you hear, chances are your friends, your family, and your enemies need to hear it too. You know what to do with the shares and notifications. If you want to leave us a comment or a question, you're welcome to do that as well. We're on a lot of different social networks. Find a way to get up with us and ask. Got a lot to get into today, and I'll be honest with you, not a lot of time to do it. We've got things, because it's a holiday here, we've got some things going on. So I'm going to attempt to stick to my notes, although what we're going to look at today, I can go on and on and on about, but I will try not to do that. We're going to look at some history. Maybe not the kind of history you think about on a day like this, but when you think about history, what do you think about? Do you remember last week, last year? There's a lot of people today who are alive they weren't alive when 9/11 happened in the United States. Many, many, many more people who are aging they weren't alive to witness World War II or World War I. Some people, may look back at history and think about, when man first walked on the moon. Now, let me ask you, when you think about biblical history, what do you think about? And there's a lot of things that have happened, right? And because each one of us are individuals, we may remember biblical history in different ways. Some of us think about different things, right? We talk to a lot of people who say, I wish I wish I could have experienced those biblical events. And I'm now quick to remind them, you are experiencing biblical events. In fact, every generation that has ever lived has experienced biblical events. The ones we're living in may never be written or accepted as part of the Bible, per se, but just like every other generation, we are living in biblical times. Our Creator continues to create every new day. And his hand, his breath, his spirit, is giving direction to every aspect of creation. Remember what Job said? We looked at that the other night, Job 38:12. He's asked Job, have you given orders from morning to begin? That indicates our Creator continues to order each new day. Have you ever wondered how David was able to write, "This is the day that the Lord has made"? That's because every day is a new creation. Each day is a new historical event. But even if you had the chance, if you had a magical time machine, okay, and now we know that's impossible, but if you could have a time machine, what historical event in the Bible would you go back and take a camera crew or a video recorder, take your little iPhone or your Android or whatever you might carry, go back and videotape what happened. For some Christians, they might want to see the resurrection of Jesus. Others might want to see him turn water into wine. Others might even want to see him walk on water. Different believers have different favorite Bible lessons. Our oldest granddaughter would be really happy to go back and visit Esther as she was training to be queen. I can think of one person off the top of my head who would like to go back and see Samson bring down the house. And there's probably a lot of folks out there who would enjoy, standing there watching Moses part the Red Sea. Some people, I think a lot of people, would really enjoy hearing King David play his harp and worship. I'm a little different. Regular listeners will know that, right? I want to know how it began. You see, history for mankind, it's no older than when our Creator chose to create this place where we live. I want to see, now this is going to sound odd, but I want to see how the Creator's voice caused this universe to begin. I want to watch his breath, his spirit, as it began to form the atoms that make up the molecules that everything is made out of. I want to know how sunlight is able to penetrate some things but not others. And that's why we're going to read some things today from that.
In the beginning, God created the sky and the earth. The earth was empty and had no form. Darkness covered the oceans, and God's Spirit was moving over the water. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, so he divided the light from the darkness. God named the light day, and the darkness night. Evening passed, and morning came. This was the first day. Then God said, "Let there be something to divide the water in two." So he made the air to divide the water in two. Some of the water was above the air, some of the water was below it. God named the air sky. Evening passed, morning came. This was the second day.
Okay, beginning doesn't refer to a specific date. Not the way we think about time today. It refers more to that perfect thought in the mind of our Creator when he chose to speak our world into existence. Not like time on a calendar or on a clock, but a perfect time at its peak. Bereshit actually means at or in the summit, at the top, at the point where nothing rises above it. But it gives us a glimpse into the thought processes of the Creator as he waited for just the right moment when he chose to speak and our world was created. Now, I like the way this translation describes the division of the waters. Some water was above the air. It's not speaking about the clouds, by the way. But if I stop and go into each of these, we'll be here for a while. And although sometimes that needs to be done, that's for a different day. So Myra's going to continue with some things.
Then God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered together, so the dry land will appear." And it happened. God named the dry land earth. He named the water that was gathered together seas. God saw that this was good. Then God said, "Let the earth produce plants. Some plants will make grain for seed. Others will make fruit with seed in it. Every seed will produce more of its own kind of plant." And it happened. The earth produced plants. Some plants had grain for seed. The tree made fruit with seeds in it. Each seed grew its own kind of plant. God saw that all this was good. Evening passed, morning came. This was the third day.
Another separation of the water, but this time with dry land. Then the plants. Now, bear in mind that the sun had not been created yet. The plants lived under the light of the Creator, not under sunlight. That's something that a lot of people don't realize. And I don't really care for the description of the evening past in this translation, even though it is kind of simple and easy. It makes it sound more like the day begins in the morning, and it doesn't give a good indication that a 24-hour day existed before the earth revolved around the sun. Remember, the sun had not been created yet. It comes later. Our Creator designed a day to be a day even before the sun was created. Because there was darkness before the light, a day begins in the dark. Now that might sound a little backwards, but we need to remember that before there was light, there was dark. Our Creator spoke into the darkness and created light. The first day began in darkness. And so today, our days actually begin at sundown. That's how time in the Bible is counted. Then there was light, and we're halfway through the day. That does sound kind of confusing, doesn't it? But if you start counting at sundown, when it comes dawn, you're halfway through the day. Does that clear it up just a little bit? I think, maybe? Well, as you think about it, maybe it will make a little bit more sense. You find a good way to figure that in your mind. But for right now, I could keep going with that, but for right now, I'm going to let Myra read some more because I know what's coming.
Then God said, "Let there be lights in the sky to separate day from night. These lights will be used for signs, seasons, days, and years. They will be in the sky to give light to the earth," and it happened. So God made the two large lights. He made the brighter light to rule the day. He made the smaller light to rule the night. He also made the stars. God put all these in the sky to shine on the earth. They are to rule over the day and over the night. He put them there to separate the light from the darkness. God saw all these things were good. Evening passed and morning came. This was the fourth day.
Did you catch the parts where it says, God said, and it happened? Okay, I'll stick to the notes. Here on day 4, the sun, the moon, the stars. I'm going to do this. I've got to address that some people want to think the stars are angels, but heaven and all the divine beings had already been created, all right, before our world. Back in, like, verse 2, heavens and earth, or verse 1, heavens, then earth. He creates the heavenly realm, then he creates our universe. So when he made the stars also, yeah, he put the stars in the sky. We don't have a lot of detailed information about the creation of heaven because we don't live there. We don't need that. But up until this point, up until day 4, there was no sunlight. It was all Godlight. So as we think about those things, we need to remember, today we think plants need sunlight to live. Well, they don't. And on the new earth, once it gets remade, there won't be any sunlight either. It won't be necessary. You'll have Godlight. So before I go any further, Myra's going to continue.
Then God said, "Let the water be filled with living things, and let birds fly in the air above the earth." So God created the large animals. He created every living thing that moves in the sea. The sea is filled with these living things. Each one produces more of its own kind. God also made every bird that flies, and each bird produces more of its own kind. God saw that this is good. God blessed them and said, "Have many young ones and grow in number. Fill the water of the seas, and let the birds grow in number on the earth." Evening passed, morning came. This was the 5th day.
Okay, so day 5, the things that lived in the water and the birds. Now, this kind of takes the wind out of the sails out of the evolutionary theory, right? Now, part of the evolutionary theory is that reptiles evolved into birds. Somehow scales became feathers. Well, how does that happen if the birds came first? Now, don't go thinking the opposite way either. Feathers didn't become scales. They come later. Birds created before dinosaurs. The secular view attempts to discredit the Bible. The secular and evolutionary views are formed by those who reject the word of the Creator and choose to believe the twisted view of evil. That's simply the way evil works. It attempts to twist the word of the Almighty. So as we think about these things in a biblical way, historically, Genesis chapter 1 is written chronologically. So as we think about these things and we look at the chronology of Genesis chapter 1, we have birds, fish, whales, sea life, before any land animals. Now, that doesn't mean they crawled up out of the ocean. That's what I was taught in school. Something crawled up out of the ocean and it became something else. Just can't happen. Tons and tons and tons now of fossil record. Not one transitory species. But listen to what happens on day 6. Mm-hmm.
Then God said, "Let the earth be filled with animals, and let each produce more of its own kind. Let there be tame animals and crawling animals and wild animals, and let each produce more of its kind." And it happened. So God made the wild animals, the tame animals, all the small crawling animals to produce more of their own kind. God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our own image and likeness, and let them rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky. Let them rule over the tame animals, over all the earth, and over all the small crawling animals on the earth." So God created human beings in his image. In the image of God he created them. He created them male and female. God blessed them and said, "Have many children and grow in number. Fill the earth and be its master. Rule over the fish in the sea and over the birds in the sky. Rule over every living thing that moves on the earth." God said, "Look, I have given you all the plants that have grain for seed, and I have given you all the trees whose fruits have seeds in them. They will be food for you. I have given all the green plants to all the animals to eat. They will be the food for every wild animal, every bird of the air, and every small crawling animal. And it happened. God looked at everything he had made, and it was very good. Evening passed, morning came. This was the 6th day.
Okay, so finally we get to the land animals and mankind. After all the preparation, the earth was finally ready for us. And it was no accident that this was designed to be perfect. A world made for man, just like it says in Isaiah 45:12. It was I who made the earth and created man upon it. You know, the world we live on was designed and created specifically for us. All of the biblical traditions, okay, if I can use that word, I don't like it, but that's just the way I kind of have to say it. All of the biblical traditions that people have about the divine beings coming here to breed with mankind are only empty traditions and legend. Mankind is its own kind, just like the plants reproduce their own kind, right? Well, I worked with large animals. So a horse and a donkey are able to crossbreed, and you get a mule, and there's other technical terms that go with that. But the result is they're both horse kind. They're equine. A lion and a tiger can crossbreed. They produce a liger, but they are cat kind. Even Yeshua tells us that in heaven there's no marriage or giving in marriage. That's reserved for mankind. The divine beings apparently are not designed to reproduce as we do. But mankind, being made in the image of the Creator, is a separate species unto itself, a separate kind. We don't, even though we are similar maybe to apes, you can't crossbreed man with ape. It just doesn't work. We're designed to be something different. And all of the preparation that went into this, all of the history that leads up to our creation, prepares the earth for mankind. Our history begins with what I consider to be the single most important event for us, even before the Creator speaks. Our history, mankind's history, actually begins when our Creator has the thought that we would be a good idea. He would make us perfect. And since that beginning, in the heart and mind of our Creator, there have been events that have shaped who we are and how we live. Some of those have been good events. Some of them have been not so good events, right? We've done some great things. We've done some not so great things. Let's face it, we've made mistakes. We've messed up. But each historical event has guided mankind to where we are right now. It helps, and it's actually up to us. And when I say it's up to us, the people who are living on earth right now, because the ones who have passed have done their part, good and bad. It's up to us living here right now to shape who mankind will be in the future. when we learn to live the way the Creator designed us to live, okay, that will help us shape a better future for all of mankind. We are supposed to be the example to the people around us. I'll say this because it's something that we, for some strange reason, have experienced. There is something about living the way. Now, let me rephrase it. There's something about living His way that makes people, and even the people who might reject the Creator, when they are around people who live God's way, it's like they want to be associated with that, even though they might hate you. Right? They know that there's something about you that they got to have, they want to be close to, even if they despise you. That sounds a little weird, doesn't it? But we've seen it. We have seen it. There's something about living the way you're designed to live that attracts the attention of everybody. Now, you would think that the majority of believers would want to be around each other too, but for some reason, there's 43,000 different denominations in the Christian world. What drives them apart? Well, not living the way they're designed to live, not following His way. They're going their own way. And it's kind of funny that the people who reject the Creator, they look at that, consider them hypocrites, and then they reject them. They think, well, you're self-serving. You're no different than me. But when they find somebody who really does try to live the way they're designed to live, they want to hang on. They want to hang around. They might tease you. They might they might bully you. That's the saying today, right? But they hang around. They want to see what makes you different because they realize there's something different in you. You, right now, have the opportunity to shape history as it will be written. That sounds kind of odd too, doesn't it? You're doing things right now that your friends, your family will look back on as history. Some of you may actually, this is going to sound weird too, some of you may actually wind up in a history book someday. You might do something so hopefully wonderful that it needs to be recorded. It will benefit mankind that well. Hopefully you're not going to do something so infamous you will be recorded. Okay? So do yourself, the people around you, and your future a big favor. Live the way you're designed to live. Be the example to the people around you. It will shape the future of mankind. And that is how history will eventually be written. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I just thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Yes, we will. And until Thursday. I can't believe it's like summer already.
It is.
We live currently, in the beach resort, and Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer. So enjoy your summer, everyone. We'll see you Thursday. Until then, many, many blessings.